we were going to introduce a brand new show that's going to take to the airwaves of 1090. This new show is going to be heard tomorrow afternoon from 12 to 1. So as we welcome everybody back, whether you're watching on podcast, on YouTube or Facebook, or if you're listening on any of the audio podcast platforms, or if you're listening on 1090, this is a brand new show that's going on the radio tomorrow. Then I'm going to talk to this gentleman offline about getting the video part of it onto our YouTube channel, because I think he would crush there as well. Here's the thing about this gentleman we're about to meet. Because you're probably all sitting there trying to guess. And everybody who asked me last night, I told them I'm not telling you because I know somebody will leak it on social media. Here's what I want to say about this gentleman. I've never met this gentleman face to face. I've talked to him, I think, once on the phone. I've definitely communicated with him by direct message on Twitter. So I don't really feel like I know this guy other than to say I follow him on Twitter. I follow him on Instagram. I have followed his work for years when he was with Sports Illustrated, when he was with ESPN, and then when he went to the LA Times. And I followed every bit of the drama as he was being, and he can change the words, as he was being pushed out the door by the LA Times. And I reached out to him at the time and I said, brother, I have had other friends go through this, particularly at the LA Times. I know what goes on there. And I've been an electronic media guy going into a print media world, and it's no fun. Let me tell you something. It is no fun. They make it miserable. Nonetheless, brand new show. Alex, before I introduce him, Browner, before I introduce him, any thoughts on what we're about to get here with this brand new show before we introduce this gentleman?
I think what you're about to get is years and years of insight and from a new voice. I think when you're writing something, it gives you an opportunity to be more descriptive. I think when you're doing something on radio, it gives you a little more chance to be more emotional, for the people to actually feel what you're saying, to feel your work, feel your material, to see more content from you. And so I'm excited to see this.
I think Southern California, LA sports fans will love it. I think he has a bit of a hill to climb in San Diego. Just to say that.
I think so too, because I think a lot of people will think of him as a Charger sympathizer. I really do. So let's get right to it. Here he is, formerly of ESPN, most recently of the LA Times, and going forward into the world of electronic media, Arash Markazi on Scott Kaplan and Crew, and being welcome to the new Mightier 1090. Hey, Arash.
Hello, great friends. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. I did not foresee this happening, but 2020 is a crazy year. So here I find myself with you guys, and I am so pumped.
So, dude, just if you can, let's jump right into it, right? People who follow sports media may know what happened to you, but here's my perception. You're a guy who's a kid from LA who's, as I remember reading, your dad used to bring you down to San Diego for Charger games all the time. Mm-hmm. And so you get this, what I would call a dream job, which is to be a columnist at the LA Times in their sports section. And most recently, they push you out the door. And perception is you're young, you are deeply involved in social media. Old school print journalists don't like when young guys are becoming media celebrities. And so it rubs people the wrong way. And they pushed you out. Tell me if I've got it right or wrong.
No, listen, I mean, I did not know that I wasn't wanted there. And I think if I had known that from the beginning, I probably wouldn't have left. I mean, it was sort of one of those moves that people wondered, why did you leave your job to go to the Times? And it was, I grew up in Los Angeles. I mean, that was my dream job. I read Jim Murray. I read Bill Plaschke. I mean, these were the guys that I wanted to be. And so, if I had known that they didn't want me there or my hiring rubbed people the wrong way, I mean, I probably wouldn't have joined. I don't think no one wants to go to a place where they're not welcome. But, I'll admit that I made some mistakes. I cut some corners. I mean, I never plagiarized anyone's work. I never, a lot of people talk about Vegas. Like I never accepted a free room or anything like that. But I think I did slip up, like a few times. You're not supposed to use a sentence from a press release. You're not supposed to repurpose something that you previously wrote. But, when you're not wanted, what happened to me was what I would hope what could have happened was there was a conversation behind closed doors, and it became really public. And I And that's too bad, because I will always love the Los Angeles Times, and I will always hold my colleagues in high regards. You're never going to hear me knock them, but it wasn't a good fit. But everything happens for a reason. And I think I touched on it when I talked to you guys, what a dream job that this is for me, because I have such an appreciation for the medium, grew up on the old 690. So again, things happen for a reason. It's unfortunate, but I'm so pumped about this new show.
So Arash Markazi is here, and we're announcing that Arash is going to take over the 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. time slot on 1090, that when the station went live in mid-August, there was just filler content. Now you've got a guy who's got a background with ESPN, a background with the LA Times, a background with Sports Illustrated, a guy who, like he said, grew up listening to the old Extra 690. And I know I read some of your things where you used to fax, not email, not call, fax to Hacksaw and the Loose Cannons. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, this is like when I sent you the picture, and I'll tweet out the picture now that we're going to go on the air. I mean, these were typed up faxes. I mean, this was on my mom's old typewriter. So this was even pre-computer and printer. I would type up the faxes because I was too young to call, and I would type a fax to Hacksaw, type a fax to Jim Rome, the old Loose Cannons, the original Loose Cannons with Chet Forty and Steve Hartman. So, it's such a thrill to be able to come back to, a 50,000 watt station. And again, this signal is so strong. I can tell you guys, I drove to Santa Barbara the other day, and you can hear it crystal clear. So I think that's the other thing. Listen, I will work towards my relationship with San Diego. I think you're 100% right, Grande. I do think that's I think I just wasn't as harsh on the Chargers as other people.
Dude, here's the thing about San Diego, and listen, Scott knows all about it because he gets the reversed aspect from the LA fans.
Yeah.
If you say anything nice about the Chargers after January 12, 2017, you are helping them. That's so. I think that you were pretty light on them myself.
Yes.
But I'm coming to you from a Charger hater aspect. So I think you're not dumb to know that people think that.
Yeah, because the only thing that I remembered at the beginning of covering that story, which was in 2010, so I didn't know what happened prior to 2010. I just realized there's no way they're going to get any public funding. And by the way, it's not just San Diego. Like Los Angeles was not going to get public funding to build a stadium. So when I realized that the Chargers needed public funding, I was like, I feel really bad, but I don't see a pathway towards them staying in San Diego. And then just saying that, people thought like I supported it. Make no mistake about it, they have not moved the needle here in Los Angeles. I think they tweeted at the Dodgers, and I'm pretty sure the Dodgers normally would favorite that tweet or retweet it or thank them. I'm pretty sure that they didn't touch that tweet. So,
all right. So Arash Markazi is the new 1090 midday show from 12 to 1. Alex has brought this up. Let's talk about this. So look, I'm on the radio 20 years in San Diego. I get this opportunity to do nights on 710 in LA. I get calls from everybody.
Traitor!
I get calls from everybody who's in LA media saying, LA doesn't care about San Diego, so you might as well not even mention it. And what I have found is I go on the air at night when I'm on the air, like as if anybody knows who the hell I am, but really they don't, In San Diego, as Alex was just saying, Arash, it's the flip side for you. You're associated with ESPN Los Angeles from your years of working through ESPN. You're associated with the LA Times. People do think in San Diego that you're a Charger sympathizer, and half the people love that and half the people hate that, probably more than half.
Yeah.
And so now I wonder what you're thinking. This is my question. What are you thinking about doing a show on a station that has been San Diego based, but has all this wattage to reach all of Southern California? We always would say, Alex, back me up on this, when we were at the old 1090, what are we doing only selling in San Diego? We should be selling in Orange County and LA because we can be heard there. So this is a chance for the radio station to really expand into a regional station, not just a local station. But as you know, people are going to consider you LA, not San Diego. So how are you going to tell the story of what your Southern California and San Diego relationship is?
I mean, here's the thing. I think it's twofold. Number one, you're 100% right. I mean, this is a Southern California station. It is viewed as a San Diego station right now, but I'm hoping to kind of change that. I'm hoping that a lot of people in Los Angeles will now tune into 1090, not only for my show, but for your show as well. But I listen, people in Los Angeles love San Diego. I love taking the Pacific Surfliner train going down to San Diego. I mean, one of the worst things about the Chargers not being in San Diego, it was an excuse 10 times a year to go to San Diego. This weekend, now that I'm on 1090, I'm going to be in San Diego, and I may tweet out on social media, you know, where I'm at, and I do love San Diego. I mean, to have an excuse to go to San Diego was always a great joy of mine, whether it's covering the Padres. I do think that this series, the Dodgers-Padres, will go a long way in building some kind of a rivalry, which we've just never had, you know? So, but I realize the way some people in San Diego view me, and I never was for the Chargers leaving. I was, and I think, Scott, I heard you for years as well. I mean, it just seemed that there was no pathway for them to have the stadium that they wanted in San Diego when you look at the hoteliers and the convention center and just a lot of those conversations. But I think people thought it was never going to happen. And I said, well, your heart may say that, but I'm talking to like enough people who are putting them in a position where I think that they have to move, because what you're going to see when things open back up, I mean, SoFi Stadium, again, it's not their stadium, but the lease deal that they have is pretty nice. So I just thought this is going to happen. And I think me saying that it was going to happen didn't help me. But I get it, you know, and so, but if it means
you can't
anything,
satisfy everybody, dude. I
exactly,
can tell you that right now.
But if it means anything, like, they have not moved the needle here, and I don't know how they do. I mean, the one thing I did tell them, I told the Spanos family, was like, you should really think long and hard about rebranding the team. Keep the Chargers name, keep the Chargers logo, history, like they did with the Seattle Sonics, because the Los Angeles Chargers, that doesn't mean anything. Just because they were here for 12 months at the beginning of their existence, that doesn't mean anything. So they didn't, you know, listen, beautiful jerseys, right? Beautiful logo and everything, but like the Los Angeles Chargers still sounds weird.
Dude, and you got the thing about San Diego, and Scott, you know this, man. It just takes time. Like, Scott is from Florida and New York, and he moved here 20 years ago, and now he's the voice of San Diego sports, right? Darren Smith came from Bristol, Connecticut. You know, Woods is like the biggest Yankee fan ever, and now he's like the biggest Padres homer. So it just takes time for people to get to know you. And then once, you know, and listen, you can be on the Chargers wagon. You could take that stance, and people can hate you and still tune into you. So it's up to you, man. Like, it just takes time for people to get to know you. Like Scott said, how many people tune in his show and don't know who he is yet? But in a couple years, that might change. It's just going to take time. Who cares what you said in the past? You get to prove every single day what you say now.
Or Jim Rome used to say this all the time as he was trying to expand to different radio affiliates. He would say all the time, give me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and I subscribe to the same theory. Just give me 2 weeks. Browner, what do you say about Arash Markazi becoming the midday show on 1090? By the way, I will tell you this. I pitched Hacksaw on this. He couldn't figure it out.
Thank God.
I definitely pitched some local sportscasters like Derek Togerson, Kyle Kraska. I pitched these guys. I think that Arash was, very aggressive in his pursuit of wanting to do this. And I think that's why this deal gets done. What do you say, Brown?
This is what I want to kind of bridge this for him. When you get to cover a team that you grew up watching, there's nothing like that. The energy that you bring to your work, the understanding that you have for the organizations. Can you tell the listening audience what was your favorite moment growing up as a sports fan, and then covering the sports teams, covering the teams? What was your favorite moment covering?
So 1988, which is making this season and really the launch of this show during this time so much fun for me, the Lakers and the Dodgers won. And I was a kid, and I have a picture of me I think I already tweeted it out, but like, I'm in a Lakers jersey and I'm a little kid. And it's like, at that age, you think your teams are always going to win a championship, because back then the Lakers won the championship and the Dodgers won. Obviously they haven't had the same kind of success. I mean, at least the Dodgers have not. But getting to cover these two teams as a job really made that so much fun. And so 2010, Kobe was winning the Game 7 against the Celtics, not knowing that would have been the last championship for Kobe. But those are the moments that you really appreciate, because those are the moments like you think back to when you were a kid at home and you couldn't afford to go to a game, but now you're at the arena covering it. And this is the team that again, you're supposed to be a sports reporter and neutral, but the fact of the matter is I grew up in Los Angeles. That was my favorite team. And so those are the moments that I love. So 1988, like as a fan, just remembering those moments, but then 2010 finals. But this could be so much fun, guys. I mean, if the Lakers and Dodgers do what I think that they could do or should do, to be on the airwaves talking about that. And again, I do think this is about bridging that gap, because this is a local station from Santa Barbara to San Diego. I mean, you can hear it clear as day. And so there's no reason why we can't share this beautiful signal of the mighty 1090.
It's Baja to the Canadian Rockies.
There we go.
And listen, after baseball season, we need teams here anyway. So y'all got a couple to spare. So we need a basketball team to cheer for. We need a football team to cheer for. And we need some MLS teams to cheer for as
There
well.
we go.
Hockey teams. We need things to cheer for. So please bridge the gap.
I think also, Arash, what people don't know about you is before the whole Charger disaster happened, your content on social media was some of the most interesting content, because I don't think even these two guys know. Like, you're the one that blew up Kate Upton, the supermodel. Like,
That's right.
She did a Dougie dance when Dougie was a thing on one of your videos at Staples Center, and she blew up the next day, dude.
That was like the beginning of it, where I put it on TwitVid. So I didn't even put it on YouTube. So this thing got like millions of views on YouTube, but like that didn't come to me. But yeah, we went to a Clippers Thunder game. I took Kate Upton to the game, and she said, like, look at this dance I just learned. And I recorded it, and then never thinking that would have turned into what it was. And then when Houston beat the Dodgers, I'm on the field, and she comes up to me, and I hadn't seen her in years, and she wants to like introduce me to Justin Verlander. And Justin Verlander's like, who the heck is this guy? And she's like, he filmed me doing the Dougie. He's like, oh, that's how I first saw my wife. So
how did I miss the story? Like, or maybe it's common knowledge, I don't know. How did you and Kate Upton, how did that happen?
I used to work on the SI swimsuit issue back when I was in Sports Illustrated. It was a very hard job, but someone had to go to these shoots and stuff. Yeah.
What did you do?
So
Does it matter? Does it matter?
Well, but let me tell you why I asked. What years did you work on the swimsuit issue?
2010 was my last year there.
Okay, so I had a really close friend who used to run the Sports Illustrated party every year at the Super Bowl, and he did all the PR. He was the head PR guy for Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. In probably 2000-ish, I went to a dinner the night of the launch of the swimsuit issue. Me, him, and like 12 of the girls. Okay, and I said to my wife, I go, honey, I'm going out with Joe and all the girls. And I got home that night, and she's like, how was it? I'm like, it was horrible. Like, none of us talked to each other. We had nothing to say. I'm sorry to say. How did you and Kate Upton become friends like that?
So my last year was her first year, and then what the writer would normally do is write about the resort. So if it's in Hawaii, you write about that resort. If it's in Turks and Caicos, so it was such a simple job, but it was a part of the job where you would write about the resort, and then you would do a quick Q&A with the model. It was a fun assignment, obviously, for like a young sports reporter, but yeah.
Bet. Well, Arash, listen, man, I want to ask you, we got about 2 minutes to go, actually about a minute and a half, but real quick. We all think the Padres are going to beat the Dodgers.
Sweet.
You do?
We're going.
What? What you mean?
We're going crazy down here. We finally have a winner, and we've got a shot to be the man by beating the man. I'm sure you probably think the Dodgers are going to win. Just take the Dodgers side of this debate. We got about a minute.
Dodgers in 5. I do think that I think it'll be a fun series. I love that this is a rivalry that I would love to see, and it's one that I think that we will see, but it's going to come down to the Dodgers hitting against the Padres pitching. Now, I love the clincher where they had like 9 pitchers, but that's not going to fly against the Dodgers. So going with the Dodgers, I think Las Vegas agrees with me. But listen, I want a fun series. It's going to be fantastic.
I know. I want a fun series too. I want Miami to win tonight because I want that series to be fun because I was going to sleep on the NBA Finals. Arash, congratulations to you. We look forward to chatting more often, and we look forward to hearing the start of your new show tomorrow on 1090. What a time to be starting a new radio.